Hello, everybody. Podcast number 8. Did you say 86?
I did say 86.
86, yeah. Podcast number 86. We had a week off because Talal was on his holidays. And we are back now, tremendously re-energized. The world seems to go from bad to worse. I wish I could think of a better metaphor for that. What's like a crappy chocolate bar and then an even worse chocolate bar, or an even like worse, like a bad
fruit
like
and
goes.
nut.
Yeah, chocolate bar's perhaps not right. Yeah.
How about like
goes from like
okay, like a
like Waitrose. I don't know, Waitrose multicolored oven chips. You know, have you ever had them? They're very nice. You know, they do like
multicolored.
Yeah, so there's like parsnip, and they're all like in chip form. But parsnip and going from them to kind of McCain microwave. The world's gone from Waitrose multicolored chips, veggie chips, to McCain microwave.
But doesn't the first thing need to be bad? You said you like the multicolored chip.
Yes, that's true. Yeah,
so it should be something bad to begin with. Let's workshop this. You can make this work.
I watched. It's a pretty shitty film, but I watched this film last night about a group of improv actors who go undercover for the police.
Yeah, I've heard about this.
The
improv community is going mental about this film. You said it was shitty.
Well, it's not fantastic. No, I mean it's Nick Mohammed, who's was in Ted Lasso, and I think he's in
everything. He's in everything.
Yeah, he's also got apparently this very funny stand-up character, but I don't think he works at Soho Theatre, so I'm not going there.
It's called Deep Cover.
Deep Cover, yeah. That's pretty stupid. But
but it does it is genuinely about improv. Like they talk about improv theory and stuff in it, don't they?
Yeah.
Did it make you like improv anymore?
No.
Or wanted to try it?
God, no. Well, I do. I mean, I do. Any comic improvises, really, but obviously not in that sort of formalized, and scene. Not in that way, but, I mean, I make, I think in any 1 hour stand-up show, I would make up a couple of minutes right there and then, as I do with that terrible bit just now about the oven chips. That was improvised. Yes. It wasn't funny. It's just improvised.
But you could still tell it came from the mind of a world-class.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, even when I fail.
At the core of it.
Yeah. So anyway, the world Friday morning, wasn't it really? Israel illegally attacked Iran. I mean, I always said this before, people call it the most moral army in the world, the IDF. I think it's the most cowardly army in the world. I mean, it just to bomb a country from outside that country, really, which is what they mostly do. I did read somewhere that the Iranians have shot down, you don't get much information, but they have shot down 3 F-35s.
They were the first army to ever shoot down the 5th generation of the F-35.
Yeah. So that's an achievement. And I think what happens is that, they think, 5th generation aircraft can get, can by and large get around Iran's air defenses, whereas the 4th generation jets, they can then mark targets for the 4th generation jets, F-15s and F-16s that the Israelis possess, and then they fire missiles from outside Iran's borders, as is my understanding.
And they've got Mossad agents who's setting off car bombs in Iran as well.
I mean, they call other people terrorists. I mean, setting off fucking car bombs. And of course, they've been whining today about this hospital. I mean, it's just calling the Iranian terrorists because they bombed a hospital. I mean, I think it's funny, isn't it, to discover that ethno-fascists have no sense of irony.
The hospital in in Tel Aviv got bombed.
It's in somewhere or other, yeah.
In Israel.
Big hospital, yeah.
I didn't know about
where
that
they've
one.
obliterated every hospital, every school, every clinic, every university in Gaza,
And of course, the human shields thing, because, the Mossad headquarters is in a very populated area.
Yeah.
And all their Iron Dome missile bases are like in the middle of the city.
Yeah.
Just like in between residential buildings. There was a video, someone filming from their balcony. It's just blocks of flats.
Yeah.
And in between them, there's a rocket shooting up from the ground.
Yeah. Just the hypocrisy is staggering, really. And obviously the bias of our Western media. So, like in Syria, one is not a supporter of the Iranian regime, but by any means, they're a terrible pack of bastards. But you have a certain sympathy with the Iranian people. And there was a woman on there. They kind of cut her off. I think they thought she was going to be more neutral. She was somebody from Harvard, but obviously Iranian, and she was in Cambridge. She was coming from Cambridge on the BBC News before, and she was saying that, the patriotic feelings are spreading. Even when people hate the regime, they feel that their country is being assaulted, and therefore there's a huge wave of patriotism in Iran, which is I've not heard from any other mainstream media. And she said, this is, I think that they were shocked, really got her off pretty quickly. Thought, you're not getting back on. It's illegal assault. It's illegal. The rest,
They really cut her off.
They went to the weather, but I think they went to the weather pretty rapidly.
They want. Obviously, there's over the last few years, there's this, rising anti-government feeling in Iran, and with the ladies cutting their hair, and just rejecting this Islamic fundamentalist kind of governing, which obviously, most people think religion and government shouldn't be in the same bed, but so I think maybe they thought it would make us more inclined to agree that Iran needs help, overthrowing their government.
Yes. Which would you mean by us?
Us Western,
Western governments,
audiences.
But I think, certainly it will have. It will have the reverse effect. I think there will be, as this woman says, there will be a huge wave of patriotism which is people feel when their country is attacked, I think. I noticed I said similarly with the Ukraine, really, that my friend Marco, who was very, critical of, very left-wing and critical of Ukraine, the regime in the Ukraine, once they were attacked, he became very nationalistic, really. I think that is, and I don't know really, but the people of Iran have endured a long war relatively recently, and so are maybe more habituated to what that means than the Israelis, who've never really suffered attack since the 70s, I suppose.
At least they're finally, picking on someone their own size in a way.
It's not quite their own size, but somebody less tiny than the other people they picked on. So anyway, that's happening. It's we'll see whether Trump comes in on interesting developments in the United States. I think I saw a figure somewhere saying that 80% of Congress people are actually bribed by AIPAC, the American Israeli Public Affairs Committee. But there's an interesting situation developing in New York for the mayoral race, where a Muslim called Zoran Mamdani,
who seems to
be
cool.
Fantastic.
Yeah. What is he? Is he taking the lead?
Yeah, he's taking the lead in some polls. 35 to 31. Cuomo's obviously a hideous, corrupt sex pest. And I don't know whether I think this is perhaps I don't know whether this is for the nomination. So presumably the process is controlled by the Democratic Party. So I wonder whether they'll rig the election or whatever. But at the moment, he seems to be building a lead, really. And it would be a remarkable thing if a socialist was mayor of the largest city in North America.
Fucking A, man.
Yeah. So, anybody listening to this who can, we have international listeners. Anybody who's listening to this who can vote in that election, please do, and vote for Mamdani. He's also interesting, though, because he's a brilliant kind of he's a brilliant communicator, really, because they did this gotcha question, and there was a debate with all the mayoral candidates, and they said, which country, as mayor in New York, which country would you visit? And Cuomo said Israel, and the other fucking
they all said
paid
Israel.
for stooges said Israel, and he said, I'd stay here. And then they said, would you believe in Israel's right to exist? And he said, I believe its right to exist as a state where all people have rights, just like in the United States, which is a kind of irrefutable argument, really. Brilliantly framed, though, no waffle, just cut straight to the to making his point, and there's a real object lesson there for people, on our side of the street, really. I mean, the new party is getting closer, I think. There will be an announcement very soon, I think.
But that's,
that's
when you...
I think we have to go all, even if whatever doubts we have, I think we have to go all in with this initiative, because there is a huge space opened up on the left in Britain, really, because it's been abandoned by everybody, really.
Mm-hmm.
And like the Greens and so on aren't making inroads into it. So there is a massive, space, I think, that could be captured by a left party, but it's got to be done the right way. And I have spoken to people who say, it can't be done in the old-fashioned way, that it has to be very much located in each branch has to be located in its community and has to be involved in community activism.
As much like Andrew Feinstein was saying.
It's that model, yeah. I think that model, it's not easy to do. God knows people. I was talking to somebody who'd worked with Jamie Driscoll, and he said, it's like herding cats. And it was like herding cats who've got, ideological differences with each other, as it were. Yeah. It's not an easy task, particularly with people, I think. I was always years ago, there was an American chain of hotels opened in Liverpool called the Staybridge Suites. And the one thing that they recruit, it was just on the edge of Liverpool 8, really, Toxteth, and they recruited very heavily from the area. The one thing they wouldn't do was recruit people who had worked in the hotel industry before, because they thought they'd got into bad habits. And I think that's probably true of this party has to be, it can't not be people, from the old left, as it were, but they've got into some bloody bad habits, really. And there's got to be an influx of people, from outside the formal left, really, I think.
People who are already embedded in their communities, maybe.
Yeah.
Find some volunteers, some activists who are already active in their community.
Yeah. And so
that's I like that hotel.
Yes. I just thought of it nicely, improvise.
When I was hopping from bar job to bar job, I would carry bad habits over with me, and by my 10th bar job, I was stuck in my way. No one could train me anything.
Yeah.
I'd be like, fuck off. I'm more experienced than you. You don't teach me anything. And I would do it my way. And luckily, I was decent at the job. So it's hard to...
some of those fucking, endless meetings and talking it's got to stop, really. It can't, because it won't, it won't work. It'll be the same old shit all over again, really. So anyway, but we will be, as we were talking, hopefully when, I know Jeremy wants to come back on, and when either if he wants to make the announcements about the new party on this podcast, or when the new party is launched, we will be...
You saying that kind of defies... You take away his ability to announce anything. You've just announced it.
No. Well, then everybody knows it's coming.
Okay.
but nobody knows he's a part of it. How many MPs? It'll have at least 5 MPs, but I think my information is there will be more than 5 MPs.
Oh man, yeah. Something to be hopeful and excited about.
Yeah, I think that's what we all need, really. So,
it looks like we will be getting Jezza back. So throw your people listening at home can like email in any questions they'd have for him and that.
Yeah,
and if we like it, we'll think about reading it to him.
Yeah. Well, I'm not betraying any. I met a couple of friends in the cafe, in the very nice cafe in the park in Russell Square. We were talking about the new party, and then one of the people was Richard Sanders, the documentary maker, was went to get a coffee or something, and I was just looking at my phone and talking. And when I looked up, Jeremy was sitting in his seat. Well, it was like because we'd been talking about the new party. It was like, if you speak his name, he will come in your time of need.
He's such a cheeky little devil, isn't he? He's a funny guy.
It was deliberately. It was like, what the fuck? Give me a front. Yeah.
He's a bit of a rock star as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
Speaking at the Kneecap gig before Kneecap come out.
Did he? I didn't.
He's still got it with the kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the Wide Awake Festival, the one at the end of my road, we spoke about it here. Right. But yeah, before Kneecap came out, there's like tens of thousands of people, and bloody Corbyn comes out like it was throwback to Glastonbury 2017.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, wow, losing their minds. Like the kids still fucking adore him, you know?
Yeah.
I remember that Glastonbury appearance where it was the pyramid stage.
Yeah.
And that field was full, and we were 2 fields over, and all the fields were full of people who wanted to just go and hear him talk. He's such an unassuming little kind of allotment tending, jam making kind of knitted sweater wearing.
It's extraordinary.
And he just but what is it about him? What honesty, obviously apart decency, from his integrity and honesty and all that, but like it can't just be that make kids lose their shit when they see him.
Well, people want what he's saying, people want it brought into being, what he proposes, and it's only the fucking, again, our bought and paid for legislature, Labour and Conservative, who are stopping that happening,
And he still makes videos where he's in the street talking to people walking.
Yeah.
Like, imagine any of these absolute tools who are in government on the front benches, like spending a second on the street and the abuse they would get. They wouldn't.
It's just by himself as well. I mean, I don't know. I'm like, he got no protection. I mean, fucking Starmer, even when he was candidate, travelled with a bloody Range Rover full of fucking...
Yeah.
He's got no protection. I shouldn't be saying this, I suppose. But, he just travels about. Anyway, I think it's important that he's involved, but I think also that he shouldn't be the head of it. I mean, and I don't think he's going to be really. I mean, he's going to be part of it, a part of the leadership, but he's not going to be the entirety of it.
We'd need a protege.
Yeah.
Like a younger, someone with a bit more metal, or a bit more bark in them. Right?
Yep.
Maybe I'll go sign.
Well, that person, I think, is in, my sources tell me that person is in place. It's just a question of, getting the kind of dotting the I's and the T's.
You can't help but, for every 5 positive thoughts, you think, oh, but what's the point? Is it even going to work?
It's still going to be. It's an enormous. It's whether they will allow, whether the deep state, which Starmer is very much representative, I think, will allow whether we can one step at a time, really, one day at a time. I mean, we can only go as far as we can go, really. I mean, whether the money markets. I was at an event of my publishers the other night, and one of the guys, people speaking was Oliver Bullock, who wrote a very interesting book called Butler to the World, which is about how, that Britain is the haven in the world for laundering ill-gotten cash, whether you're a Chechen, whether you're a people trafficker or, obviously Russian oligarchs or, China, a lot of Chinese. Britain is where that money is washed, really, and whether that and that's been encouraged by, successive Labour and Conservative administrations, and how they would feel if a socialist government, emerged in Britain. Really, very, very powerful and very dark forces. I think they wear suits and they went to Eton, but they are thugs of the first order, really, and that would be a challenge. The money, I think, you'd have the money markets would be a challenge. The military would be a challenge.
Was there any insight into how they launder their money here? Is it just
it's a very good. It's a very good book, Butler to the World. I recommend people read it. I mean, I spoke to him because I've read it. It's just fucking depressing, really. They do it through a multiplicity of ways. Properties, one. Obviously, also one of the ways is British, places that are Britain but aren't Britain. The British Virgin Islands is the primary example, really, which is, is the size of Halifax or something, but has 12,000 banks. I mean, I think that. There's various ways in which money is laundered.
Hello, Wilf. Just saying hi to Wilf. Sorry.
Hi, Wilf.
Yes. I've got to do it for the fans.
But I recommend it. I mean, it's profoundly depressing, really.
Butler to the World.
Butler to the World, Oliver Bullock. Yes. And we haven't even, we did mention it, I think, on the podcast 2 weeks ago. We haven't even mentioned I showed Jeremy he hadn't seen them, our viral TikTok videos.
Yeah, I can't blame you. You've been very keen to know the stats every few days. You call me
I know,
up.
it's sort of sad, isn't it, really?
No, but you don't have the thing to look at, I have
no.
For a second, I was getting annoyed with you for keeping on asking me, but I realized I've got it in my hand every day, and every day I check it, and I just look at the stats and go, okay, cool. But you don't have that. So, of course, you're curious to bloody know.
Yeah.
And what an experiment it's been, man. Like, do you want to, well, I'll give you some stats.
Tell the stats.
I'll give you some stats. In the last, this is only Instagram, but that is where we found that the idea was to do a TikTok thing, but we found that most of the interactions and views have come from Instagram, which is the app I use most anyway, for better or worse. But in the last 30 days, we've had 3.7 million views on our Instagram account. 351.1 thousand people, 351,000 people have liked it or commented or shared it, one of our videos. We have 55,000 new followers on Instagram. Sadly, this hasn't translated in a relative degree to podcast listening.
That's weird, isn't it? Well, I guess.
But I think there is kind of a theory of marketing is that, when you do advertising, which is what this is technically an advert for the podcast in a way.
Right.
But an advert, you'll only capture 1 out of every 100 people who see your advert, isn't it? And that's a successful thing.
Yeah.
According to advertising.
And that's people who watch the advert multiple times as well.
Yeah. So we have had a slight increase in podcast listens, but it's a matter of tenacity. You keep doing it and you'll keep building the fan base and the audience. But, this is people who are just looking at their Instagram app and then you're showing up on their For You page.
Yeah.
And you're like, who the fuck is this? Or they're like, is that Alexei Sale? Or they're like, oh my God, it's Alexei Sale. And they just, you're being introduced or reintroduced into people's lives who didn't even know you had a podcast, who didn't even know you have a content on Instagram or anything like that. So we're just making the first impact. The highest viewed video is the third video from the first series of 3. So we've made 6 videos altogether, 3 and 3. And the third one of the first lot has 2.1 million views. And the second one, 1.1 million. The rest are all around the 200,000 mark or under. One of them has 500,000. So I think if we keep going, that's going to be what we should expect. It's around 200,000 views.
Yeah, which is still all right, isn't it?
Which is incredible. This is like, you look at other influencers and that's pretty normal. They'll have the odd video which really makes an impact and gets millions, but on the most part, 100,000 or even like 50, 60,000, that's kind of normal, like an influencer. But you've created something really original and funny. Yeah, do you want to keep doing? Do you want to keep doing it?
We'll do some more next week. Yeah. It took us about, I know it all looks thrown. It took us about 5 hours, didn't it, to do the second 3, really, just trying to think of the dance moves and the track. Really. And in the end, we went back to the original track.
Yeah. Yeah, Linda came in and screamed at us. What are you doing? People like the first one. Just do it again. And you can't say fairer than that, really. Yeah. So thanks, Linda. Yeah, she kicked us up the arse. And then once she intervened, it took us 10 minutes to do the whole thing and film 3 more. But that was knackering. I think and also it's just easy to just overthink it, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think that's what happened. I think you could have easily done one of the songs I played to you.
Yeah, it's just getting it. It seems really simple, but in fact, it's very complicated to get just the right mixture of dance moves and track.
But I also enjoyed your artistic integrity, and it's kind of nice to see because I feel the same way. It's like if you don't want to, or if you're not feeling keen on something, then don't. You didn't want to do it. You weren't feeling the music. You weren't getting the dance. You didn't want to fake it, or
Well, you're
that was good. It was good.
So, we'll do some next week. I'm thinking of doing Marxist ideas of false consciousness and commodity fetishism.
Oh.
I was the husband of one of the authors at the publishers event was a Marxist scholar, and so he suggested, what's he say, commodity fixation, perhaps, or is it commodity fetishism? Commodity fetishism. In Marxist terms.
I'm trying to find it. Commodity.
Don't give it away.
Yeah, commodity fetishism.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, something to look forward to then.
Yeah.
Speaking of something to look forward to, if I can squeeze a quick plug in, it might kill the vibe, but let me just squeeze this in. We're doing 4 shows at the Museum of Comedy, and we have got a discount code for our patrons. Oh, shit. Yeah, okay, I know how to do this. I just realized everyone's going to hear this, not just the patrons. But we're playing the Museum of Comedy, Sunday the 6th of July.
I haven't checked on the sales figures really. I don't know if our videos have resulted in an uptick.
Yeah, let's see. Let's see. Sunday 6th of July, Sunday 13th of July, Sunday 27th of July, and Sunday 17th of August. You can go to Museum of Comedy, click the search icon at the top, type in Alexei Sale, and you'll find the shows 6th, 13th, 27th of July, and 17th of August. And if you are a Patreon member of the Alexei Sale podcast, I have managed to wrangle out of the Museum of Comedy a 15% discount for tickets. And what I'll do is when I've posted this episode, I will make a post on the Patreon so that the Patreon members see what the code is. Yeah, there we go. That's how I'll do it. There's a secret code. If you type that in when you're buying your tickets on the website, you'll get a 15% discount. And if you want access to that code and full video versions of this show, head to patreon.com/alexeisaylepodcast. That's patreon.com/alexeisaylepodcast. Can you say it one time for me, Alexei?
I was alexeisaylepodcast / I don't know, patreon.com.
Yes, exactly. Well done.
Yeah.
Nice one. Thank you for all our patrons. In the last month, we've had, oh my God, we've got 10 new patrons and we really appreciate you. Should we give them a quick shout out?
Sure.
It doesn't matter if I say their name. So I'll say their name. Let's do a little improv game.
All right.
I'll say their name and then you just like say the name and say something to them.
All right.
What do you think?
Okay.
All right. We've got some new patrons in the last month.
Yeah.
First up, Our Man on the Horn.
Our Man on the Horn. Hi, Our Man on the Horn. Why you call that? Does he live on the Horn of Africa, or is he like a jazz trumpeter?
I can't answer that for you. Write in, please. Our Man on the Horn. Okay, Cat M.
Cat M. Hi, Cat M. Thank you for signing on to be one of our Patreon people.
This is a great game. Josie H.
Josie H. Yay. Josie H. Yay. Welcome. Wee.
Stuart L.
Stuart L. Wee. Welcome. Hey, welcome to the podcast. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
No more ways. I don't want you using that as a crutch. Right. Conrad N.
Conrad N. Hi, Conrad N. Are you German?
Lewis.
Are you German? Are you from?
Are you German?
Bad Mönchengladbach?
Could be. Lewis N.
Lewis N. Yeah, man. Welcome. Bienvenue.
Okay, nearly there. Richard G.
Richard G. Man. The G. Man. Yay. Yo. And
finally, many thanks to Mariam H.
Mariam H. Hey. Welcome on board the good ship. SS Alexei podcast. Registered in the British Virgin Islands.
I imagine.
Under a flag of convenience. So that all the huge profits.
Also in the Patreon, we have a cool chat room for all our patrons to chat and discuss topics. Someone called Fnord has brought up a topic that's kind of kicked off a bit of a chat in the chat room there. They are dreading going back to work because their big boss just got an MBE. And they're going to struggle to not start screaming at them, to stop pretending we still have an empire. How can you say you stand for equality when you have a medal that screams inequality?
I saw Tracy Ann Oberman had been given an MBE or an OBE for her work in excusing genocide.
Yep. Mark brings that up.
Yeah.
Whereas you got legends like Benjamin Zephaniah who like reject their medals and stuff. And any other thoughts on the king pinning a badge on you?
No. I mean it's a way. I mean, clearly, somebody like Tracy Ann Oberman, for instance. I mean, there's obviously the Labour Party reward in there for doing, I think, taking part in the anti-Corbyn smears and so on, doing things that are profoundly morally wrong. So that's kind of, that's what your gong is worth. I know, I've got a few, like Lenny's got a knighthood, and I know other people have got these things. It's not worth much.
No.
I've never really been offered.
So I follow this Instagram account, which just makes me, I don't know, I do it. It's called Jewish News, and they're very Zionist.
Yes, one of them.
But but they're also not like it's just like they're very formal. They write very plainly. And it's just, I guess I use it to just inform myself on the conversation on the other side.
Yeah.
Jason Isaacs, I've been called a Zionist baby killer for wearing a hostage pin. The Harry Potter White Lotus star, who is Jewish, told New York Magazine. Okay. I love how the news make a news story by just copying and pasting another publication's news story.
These days, yeah.
And like you'll get a whole article just based on a tweet. And I'm like, what are you? This is the laziest journalism. He now wears the symbol at every red carpet event and media appearance, despite backlash, because it matters to the families of the Israelis being held captive by Hamas. But he acknowledged that public figures are under intense pressure and said he understood why many in the industry choose to stay silent. Just for wearing it, I've been called a Zionist baby killer and a Zionazi, he said. So he's very proud of his pin. I don't think he is a baby killer. I think that is probably an unfair thing to call him.
Yes, but he is a supporter of Israel. Really.
He's a supporter of baby killers.
Yes, he's a supporter of an ethno-fascist apartheid genocidal state.
I'm sick of people using their Judaism as a reason to support Israel. It's not.
No, well, it's tribal, isn't it? But it's not, you know.
And the latest post is slandering the New York mayor candidate.
Ah, right, with the Zamdani, yeah.
Zohran Mamdani. No, he I don't know everything about him, but he seems to just get it. And he understands that everything's fucking connected as well.
Yeah.
So he's not just harping on about Palestine, which I respect that he does it at all. But the video I saw of him last night is on the streets. Again, in the streets, unafraid, and he's talking to halal food.
No, I saw that one, yeah.
You saw that one?
Yeah.
And so a big part of his manifesto is because people own the licenses to have a food truck.
Right.
And so if you have a food truck, so many people already own the licenses and the street permits that there's no room for you to buy one. So you have to rent it off the people who are owning it.
Yeah.
And it could be one person who owns several. And they're just hoarding them, basically, and then renting them out, which means that these food trucks have to hike up their prices to cover the costs of that. And so he wants to tackle that. And I guess, if you don't actually have a food truck, you shouldn't have a license or a permit and rent it out to others, which is such a obvious thing, isn't it? But this is what capitalism does. This thing just becomes over time. It's like, oh yeah, that's another way I can exploit people and make a bit of money. Okay, let's do that. And then that becomes a new norm. When it's so illogical and mean. Cruel.
Yeah. But it's good. I mean, his focus is he will speak. He's not. He doesn't. What's impressive about him as well is he's honest. He will speak when asked. He will reply. But he his pitch for mayor is very much based on local issues. Free buses.
Yes.
Food stores run by the city. Various other other things, and he's very clear about how he's going to pay it. He's going to raise corporate tax to the same level as New Jersey, and so on and so forth. I
hope he wins so that we get something similar here. Because Sadiq Khan, as much outrage as there was against him and his bloody ULEZ and all that, I've not felt any effect from him.
No, he's just another Labour Party politician. Really.
What has he done for us?
Yeah, well, he's just he is run-of-the-mill Labour Party politician, really. And, with all that implies, really, he's not. It was exciting when he was elected, but his policies are
the first time, but he's dull. It's just I've not felt any impact from him. Apart, the only thing I felt is that we don't have a fucking Tory mayor. Yeah, and that's it, which I'm grateful for. But and obviously the representation that he's an ethnic face in a very diverse city. To what end?
Yeah.
He hasn't done anything really that I've found.
No, nothing stunning, really.
When I landed in France in the airplane, I got off the plane and I saw 3 Israel Air planes in the airport,
right,
and all parked up. And it wasn't the same time as the Iran strikes. It was before that, so it can't have been them fleeing like many Israelis have done. It's just fleeing Israel. But I started shaking and getting really tense, just because I have not, and I haven't encountered an Israeli person in real life since the genocide.
No.
And I started, I didn't know how I would, if I was stuck behind them in the queue in security.
Yeah.
And I saw them waving their passport around, and if any of them acted at all arrogant or
which they have,
I would say something, or I would react, and I didn't want to get in fucking trouble. And then what if it escalates and suddenly I'm in a fucking French prison? So I started getting really nervous about that, man. What if I bump into one?
Yeah.
My girlfriend had to calm me down. Don't worry, stop, Talal. And when you go to queue to get through security, they've got like signs going, European passports this way. And international passports this way. And they had international passports this way, and they had flags like Britain, America, blah, blah, and then the Israeli flag. So I had to I had to line up in the queue that had the Israeli flag on it. Anyway, so I don't know, my girlfriend must have spoken to someone, because I didn't end up bumping into any in the airport.
Right.
But for the rest of my holiday, I couldn't truly get away from it all, because I was in the back of my mind knowing that there was 3 plane loads of Israelis floating around somewhere in the vicinity, and I could bump into them at any moment. And what am I going to do? But yeah, the one time I thought I had encountered a group of them, they turned out to be Arabs, and because they were acting really arrogant and up themselves. They turned out just to be rich Arabs. I was like, oh yeah, we're all cunts, everyone.
It used to be, last time I flew to Australia, which was 2016, Terminal 4, I think. Both flights to the Middle East and Israel departed from, I don't know whether that's still the case. So it was people in, Arab garb and, a lot of Orthodox Jews and stuff. I don't know whether that is still the case. No, I think it was Terminal 4. Terminal 3.
Putting them all together. That would definitely not be the case today. Surely they would be wise enough to separate them.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to minimize any potential. Yeah. And then, fucking... I went away seemingly during the most eventful week, man. Fucking hell. I guess the World War III rhetoric isn't helpful or necessarily accurate, or, everyone's saying World War III more than they have been for the last however long, but more so in the last week. Is that a useful rhetoric to say that we're on the brink of World War III?
Don't think we are. I mean... I can't really see how Iran doesn't really have anybody. I mean, I know Pakistan has made noises about, said if the United States dropped a nuclear bomb on Iran, I think they would respond in kind. But I can't see any nuclear armed power that's really particularly tangled up in this, really. Obviously, Iran has quite strong links with Russia, but they're not going to. I can't entirely see how this would really lead to nuclear conflict.
Good.
I guess, yeah. Apart from you don't know. I suppose what you don't know is that. And this is given that the Israelis are, most of them really, but obviously the government in particular are insane and in possession of a lot of nuclear weapons, whether if they were facing some, rather than a fake existential crisis, which is, if they were facing a real existential crisis, whether they would use their nuclear weapons, really. Given that they're fanatics, I guess that they would really, and that would be that the situation doesn't seem to exist at the moment, but there is a danger of it, I think.
I wouldn't put it past them, man, especially if they become desperate.
Yeah. So say there was like a coup, suddenly there was a coup, the Muslim Brotherhood got back in Egypt or something, and then Egypt, turned its attention to Israel, and you could quite easily see them using nuclear weapons on, when the peer-to-peer, as we say, when they're faced with an armed forces that is, relatively speaking, the match of their own, which they have not to do since the 60s, 70s. They wouldn't use nuclear weapons in that case.
Did you see the march to Gaza?
I've only been. Is it still? I was always assumed that the Egyptian authorities would place a lot of obstacles in their way. Isn't that the case?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Well, Sisi is even worse than Mubarak, if that's possible. Really, it's a vile regime in Egypt. Really brutal, repressive, and of course, is a close, cooperates very closely with the Israelis.
Yeah, it makes me hang my head. And shit.
Yeah. But no, so I've only they're arresting like people who, I don't know. Are they still allowing it to proceed? But
they're just blocking them. They can't get any closer to Gaza.
Right.
And a lot of people are flying back.
Yeah, it's kind of what I expected, really.
But it looked like a huge. What do you call it? Caravan.
Yeah. No publicity over here, of course.
No.
The mainstream media.
And who was it who said they're going to send? Was it Malaysia? They're going to send 1,000 ships.
Is that real?
A mass flotilla. Was that real?
I don't know. If they did, it would. Obviously, the Israelis stopping the Greta Thunberg boat, the Madeleine, it's piracy. But then who's to stop? They break international law every minute, every second of the day. So why should they be bothered with stopping, attacking vessels in international waters? But if they had to, and also I think the boat was actually registered in Britain, but
the British boat,
government, British government was, somehow not managed to make any protest about that.
Just so many crimes on top of each other.
No one. Really, British
reprimanding Israel.
Seized in international waters by a foreign power should expel the fucking ambassador.
Mm-hmm.
Hateful bloody fascist that she is.
Okay. This is from the New Arab. Malaysian groups plan 1,000-ship flotilla to break Israel's siege of Gaza. This is articles from 15th of June.
So it's not the Malaysian government, but just groups within Malaysia.
Malaysian civil society organizations on Saturday announced a plan to launch what they described as the largest maritime mobilization in the world to break the Israeli blockade of the Gaza Strip. The campaign, known as the 1,000-ship flotilla, I keep thinking of like a taco restaurant when I hear that. I think it's some sort of meal deal at Taco Bell. 1,000-ship flotilla aims to dispatch vessels from multiple continents in a coordinated effort to deliver humanitarian aid and pressure Israel to end its siege. The initiative was unveiled during a press conference in Kuala Lumpur by Azmi Abdul Hamid, head of the Malaysian Consultative Council of Islamic Organizations.
Well, good for them. Let's see what happens.
That would be exciting.
Yeah.
Israel would consider it an act of war and just bomb the shit out of them all.
Yes, I would have thought so.
Possibly. Good luck to them. I kind of wanted to. I'd love to do something. Actually go and do it. Volunteer on one of those boats.
Okay.
I'll let you know.
Yeah.
Oh, people are asking about the Liverpool and Shoreham tickets. There's no tickets available yet, but yes, Liverpool and Shoreham are all but confirmed. We will be coming up there probably in October.
Yep.
But someone mentioned there's this kids' TV show. I'm looking for the comment, but if I don't find it, I'm sorry. But there's a kids' TV show, and one of the characters apparently has the exact voice that you use on Sandwich Bar.
Really?
Yeah, there it is. Have you ever had the misfortune of coming across kids' program Steve and Maggie?
No.
Maggie sounds like a customer from the imaginary sandwich shop.
I was
yeah.
All right.
And then someone YouTubed it and agreed with Tina. Thanks, Tina. Right. So we should check that out.
Yeah, I did once. I did a series. I can't remember, it was for Nickelodeon or something called Olive the Ostrich, about a psychopathic ostrich.
Yeah. I went off and watched one after you told us about that. Yeah. It's funny. You're like narrating it, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I replaced Rolf Harris.
You replaced Rolf Harris. You ever meet him?
Yeah. He came backstage. Maybe it was at the BBC or something. He came and said hello somewhere. I can't remember where it was. I remember, again, I think Billy Connolly and Pamela Stevenson lived next to him on the river, sort of somewhere, from Berkshire or somewhere. And they actually moved because he kept coming round. I seem to remember them telling me.
Yeah.
Coming round with his banjo. So in the end, they had to move.
We've had some fun on the Instagram. We've had some celebrity followers, new followers. Yeah. Patton Oswald followed us.
Oh, cool. Yeah, he's good. He's fun.
Yeah, I really like him.
Yeah.
And don't worry, I've been reaching out to these people, seeing if we can make something of it. And Louis Theroux followed us.
He's a good guy. He does good work anyway.
I'm trying to get Gary Lineker's attention.
Right.
Okay, that's
fish to fry.
Dawn French followed us.
All right.
And Paloma Faith.
Yeah. That's all good.
Oh, very nice. So thank you to them and all the new followers. Dawn French, it was very sweet. I messaged her saying, sorry for doing this on your behalf. But I was like, come on the podcast. And she said, no, darling, I'm all podcasted out. She's enjoying her time.
She fell foul of the Zionist lobby, didn't she?
She did.
The other week.
But then did an apology, and I thought, don't need to do that, man. No. You don't need to do that. What happened with Kneecap?
They were just remanded, I think. I heard the BBC, the only information I heard the BBC report saying that the magistrate had said he didn't know really whether he had jurisdiction in the case, really, so he remanded them to return in a month or so.
Oh, is that what that means? Okay.
I think, I would have thought it presents it'd be interesting to see whether the Crown Prosecution Service puts them in because they've made this ludicrous prosecution anyway, whether they will let it drop. There's been quite a few cases quietly dropped. All those people who were charged because of being at the head of that march, which I was at the head of.
Back in January.
Yeah, all the charges have been dropped against them. The only charges that are still being followed through with are Chris Nineham and Ben Jamal. There's also Liberty, I think, got an important ruling the other day that all these anti-protest laws that, Priti Patel, I think, brought in have been ruled to be illegal. So anybody convicted under those laws, and Labour, of course, didn't didn't take them away, but kept them in place. That anybody convicted of those laws, I think, will be, I guess they can seek compensation for illegal prosecution.
Oh, good.
I don't know. But so that the courts have been chucking out a lot of bad legislation that Labour Party has been trying to push through. They're trying very hard to silence criticism, and the situation in which some of the Palestine Action people are held on remand in Belmarsh for nearly 2 years before their case comes to court is monstrous, really. And it shows you who the Labour Party, who Starmer and his cronies are.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, they're not good people. Patton Oswalt, he's in a very funny film called Young Adult, and with Charlize.
I love that film.
Yeah. And we've rather lost control of our film club, haven't we? Really, what with one thing and another, we should have a think about.
Sorry about that, listeners. Yeah, let's address that post Glastonbury.
Okay, you're going to Glastonbury. When are you going to Glastonbury?
It's next week.
So are we doing the podcast next week, or are you going to be?
I don't want to let the listeners down, so we shall endeavour to record something earlier in the week so that you will have a podcast next week.
Yeah.
Hopefully even with a nice guest. I can't say I'm not completely conflicted about Glastonbury, considering, their treatment of Paul Curry and
that film I made.
That film you made. And in general, kind of...
make it, but I was in it.
That general... just the commercialization of Glastonbury, like it's not what it used to be. Glastonbury's not like it used to be. It's lost its heart. All these pop stars. It's a well-paying gig, and it's fucking Glastonbury. And I'm not
sure. You had a lovely time last year, didn't you?
I loved it, and I've got you and Lisa to thank for bringing me in last year, and Charlotte and Kev at the Theatre and Circus. Cabaret tent. They asked me back, and I'm flattered. And I'm going to be doing I'm on the Glastonbury app. If you look for my name, I'm doing plugs because we're going to wrap up. Okay. I'm doing a set on Friday, and I'm emceeing for 4 hours on the Saturday. I haven't had a gig in I can't think of one before Glastonbury last year. I don't know when my last fucking gig was. So.
You're going to be sharp then.
I'm going to be really on the ball. Luckily, I've squeezed in a couple practice gigs. I've got a gig on Friday and Monday before Glasto, so
good.
Get some stage time.
Good.
Come check me out, or don't, because I might be shit. But anything you want to promote or advertise, anything you got going on, Alexei?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. No, I'm just trying to get this sodding book finished, really. I don't think. No, I've only got stuff with you, really. The live podcast is the next thing.
Live shows. Are you going to the march on Saturday?
I didn't know. Is there another one? So did I'm a patron a bit. They never let me know. I don't know. Linda knows, I suppose. Is there a proper big another march?
I'm almost certain. Saturday, 21st of June.
All right.
Yep. Russell Square to Whitehall. That's near you.
Yeah.
Russell Square to Whitehall.
All right.
But anyone in London, solidarity, free Palestine, come join the march.
Maybe, yeah.
All right.
Who else celebrity? What did you say? Patton Oswalt. Who else? Oh,
Louis Theroux.
Louis Theroux.
Paloma Faith.
Jason Isaacs. Yeah, Jason Isaacs. Big shout out to Jason Isaacs. One of
Dawn French.
Yeah, Dawn.
Jason Isaacs, thanks for the follow, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
White Lotus season 3 was shocking. So,
well, I thought it wasn't bad.
That was awful.
I thought it wasn't bad at all. I loved Walter
Goggins and Mary Lou Thingamajig.
Yeah, but not even them two. When he goes off to Bangkok, what's the guy called? Rockwell, Sam Rockwell.
So, yeah.
I've got a soft spot.
That was, and I thought that was too overblown, that storyline. I mean, the brief, the stuff with them in the hotel together worked really, but then the rest of that storyline, I think, didn't. Well, like the whole thing, none of it worked, I think. No, that's not going. Mike, what's he called? Who's that? Mike White's not going to follow us, is he? On that basis, the writer, producer, director.
Sawati crap, Mike White. Please forgive us.
Sign, become a follower. Israeli President Isaac Herzog, he's started following the podcast. Disgraced former editor of Jewish Chronicle, Jake Wallace Simmons, he's following the podcast. Mm-hmm. He's signed on. He loves the Marxism videos.
Ted Cruz followed us.
Ted Cruz. So, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah.
Insane right-wing, although anti-war with Iran. Insane right-wing congresswoman. She's followed the podcast. Louis XIV of France. He's followed. He's a follower. Pontius Pilate, Emperor Octavian. They've all followed the podcast. Marie Curie.
Yeah. Anansi, the mythical folklore character from African traditional folklore.
Yeah, they followed the podcast. Yeah. And Jason Isaacs again.
Yep. And the Babadook.
They've all signed on to support us.
So you're in good company, everybody.
Yeah. Lord Nelson. Oh, several figures from the Napoleonic Wars. I could go on like this forever. Blücher.
I really wish you would.
Commander of the Prussian forces. Napoleon himself. And Duke of Wellington. A rare meeting. Bo Abdil, the last. You could probably fade this out.
And Paula Abdul.
Yeah.
And the cartoon cat from the music video she was in.
Yeah. H from Steps.
Oh, that was a big one.
Yeah, he's signed.
Yeah. Because he was admiring your dancing.
Yeah, well, one professional to another. Clarence Clemens, the late saxophonist in Bruce Springsteen's E Street Band. And many, many more. Jason Isaacs for a third time.
Do I have to say it? Bye-bye, listeners. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. You've been listening to the Alexei Podcast. This show is produced and edited by Talal Karkuti. Music by Tarbush Records. Thanks to Audio Boom for hosting us. Please keep your emails coming in at alexeisaylepodcast@gmail.com. Goodbye.